What if you found out that your long-lost Brazilian grandpa, the one nobody ever talks about, could actually be your ticket into the Brazil national team? Or well, maybe the Brazil from 20 years ago. Wouldn't you sign the papers on the spot? Well, that's exactly what a bunch of players thought after getting ignored harder than Tevez ignored his English classes.
And then, do you want to stay at Manchester United?
Very difficult.
Some eventually wore the shirt of another country, others, they never looked back at their homeland to begin with. Let's kick things off with Emmeric Jean-Louis Gérard Alphonse Laporte Fèvre. Yeah, that's a name, not the PSG midfield. Born in Agen, France, son of a supermarket worker and a hairdresser, grandson of a rugby player and an amateur tennis guy, he had everything to become a French national team regular, and he was, at least in the youth system. Over 50 matches across every single age group with Le Bleu, but when the time came to step up, to finally build out La Marseillaise with the senior team, Didier Deschamps looked the other way, towards Baron, towards Umtiti, basically anywhere but Laporte. He waited, and one day, he was done waiting. In 2021, he applied for the Spanish citizenship, debuted immediately, played every minute of the Euros, scored a goal, made it to the World Cup, and even helped Spain win the Euro 2024. His connection to Spain? Zero Spanish parents, zero Spanish grandparents. The only link? He joined Athletic Club at 16 and got familiar with the country. So in short, France raised him, trained him, then ghosted him. And Spain said, "Don't worry, we got you." Deschamps, salty, accused him of lying. Laporte answered on the pitch, wearing red. And as weird as it sounds, the French centre-back ended up a champion with Spain. But there's another guy who didn't just win a continental title. He went all the way and became a world champion with a different country. Mauro Camoranesi was born in Argentina, played in Argentina, Uruguay, Mexico, and then randomly became a World Cup winner with Italy. Marcelo Bielsa, yes, the same Bielsa who crashed out in the group stage of the 2002 World Cup, and now shares a very special place in the Argentine Hate Hall of Fame next to Götze, never called him up. So, when Trapattoni showed up holding an Italian passport like a golden ticket, Camoranesi didn't even blink. He remembered his Italian roots. Javier Zanetti, Argentina's legendary right back, summed it up perfectly. It's a shame Mauro chose Italy. He would have been very useful for Argentina. For us, a loss. For them, a gain. And well, he wasn't wrong. In 2006, Camoranesi started in the World Cup final, played alongside Buffon, Pirlo, Del Piero, and ended up lifting the trophy in Berlin. While Zidane was headbutting Materazzi, and Argentina was getting knocked out on penalties by Germany. Now, someone who almost went the full distance was Ivan Rakitic, born in Switzerland, learned to play in Switzerland, even repped their U17s, U19s, and U21s. But no, he never played for the senior Swiss team. Just when it looked like he was going to be the next Swiss number 10, along came Croatia's coach Slaven Bilic, holding a Croatian passport in one hand and a whole lot of Balkan nostalgia in the other one. Turns out Rakitic's family had Yugoslav roots, and Croatia wasted no time making the call. After the switch, a bunch of Swiss fans branded him a traitor, his family got threats, and his last name was all over the headlines. But the story didn't end there. Years later, that traitor was a key figure in taking Croatia to its first ever World Cup final. Achraf Hakimi is another player who made history, just not for the country you'd expect. Born in Madrid, went to school in Getafe, had a Spanish ID, passport, and a Spanish accent, and yet he was never really one of them. Spain called him up for a trial, and 2 days in, he basically said, "Yeah, this ain't it." It wasn't the food, the anthem, or even Spain's bizarre interpretations of Christian Grey on Got Talent Spain. It was about his roots, his home, his Moroccan culture. So he chose Morocco, and at the time, no big deal. Spain had just won a World Cup. That is until Qatar 2022. Round of 16, Spain versus Morocco, and the kid who never felt at home, he stepped up. Took the final penalty, sent Spain packing, then hit the Sergio Ramos celebration for extra spice. Spain had him, Morocco embraced him, the rest is football karma. But if you thought the Spain-Morocco dual nationality drama peaked there, let me introduce you to Munir El Haddadi, born in Madrid, raised in Spain, made his debut at the Camp Nou alongside Messi, and became a Spanish international. in exactly 13 minutes. That's it. Vicente del Bosque called him up last minute for a qualifier against Macedonia, not the one that KO'd Italy from Qatar, the other Macedonia. Menir played a few minutes and boom, locked in. Why? Because back then, FIFA had a rule. One official match, even stoppage time, and you were tied to that country forever. He was never called up again. Munir, who had Moroccan roots, fought for 6 years to switch. In 2021, FIFA finally changed the rules, and Morocco welcomed him with open arms. He debuted, scored, and wore the number 10. From 13 wasted minutes to finding his place. Yeah, a bunch of players born in Spain now play in Morocco, no surprise there. But there is another country that is part of this player leakage phenomenon. Brazil. Diego Costa was born in Brazil, played in Brazil, but ended up wearing La Roja. How did that happen? Well, easy. Brazil didn't call him. Well, they did, but only for 2 friendlies that were more irrelevant than a Nations League group stage. No Confederations Cup, no qualifiers, nothing. Meanwhile, Spain was watching. Years in La Liga had made Costa eligible, and the Spanish Federation showed up with a passport, a notary, and Vicente del Bosque in full talent scout mode. Diego, who felt way more appreciated in Madrid, didn't hesitate. He signed, debuted, and got called up for the 2014 World Cup. Tiny detail, that World Cup was in Brazil. And yes, he stepped onto the pitch wearing Spain's kit, in the Maracanã. To Brazil, that was betrayal, although, to be fair, that World Cup didn't go great for either side. Spain crashed out in the group stage after getting demolished by Netherlands, and Brazil, well, you know, they haven't been the same since then. Now, there's another player who didn't just leave Brazil. He became a full-blown legend somewhere else. Pepe, that's right. Pepe was born in Brazil, but if Brazil was his birthplace, Portugal was his lifeline. He arrived in Portugal at 18, alone, with 5 euros in his pocket, actually not even that. And when he had to choose between buying food or calling his mom to say he was alive, he picked the second. Because before he was the center back handing out souvenirs to strikers everywhere, he was just a hungry teenager stranded at Lisbon airport. A guy at a pants and company gave him a baguette. No idea who he was, just kindness. And that was the moment Pepe decided Portugal was home. He never played for Brazil, never even got a call. So when Portugal knocked, he said yes, spoke to Scolari, got his passport, and went all in. The rest is history. Over 130 cups, 3 World Cups, 1 Euro title, and a record number of legal, and I mean barely legal tackles. Brazil gave him birth, but Portugal gave him everything else. And yeah, there are way more stories like this, especially when a World Cup is around the corner. This stuff happens a lot. So follow, subscribe, and I'll try to finish the list in a future video. Peace.